The boundary between life and death is not as solid as most believe. It is more like a veil, thin, translucent, and occasionally penetrable by those with special awareness. I have spent decades studying these mysteries, and what I share today comes from both ancient wisdom and contemporary experiences of those who have glimpsed beyond. When consciousness leaves the physical body, it does not extinguish like a candle flame. Rather, it expands, freed from the limitations of material existence. Those who have returned from near-death experiences describe a sensation of profound peace, an absence of physical pain, and a clarity of perception that transcends ordinary awareness. One remarkable account comes from a woman in northern India who clinically died for 7 minutes during childbirth. She described floating above her body, watching doctors frantically working to revive her. But what happened next was far more profound. She found herself traveling through what she could only describe as a tunnel of light, moving toward a vibrational frequency rather than a physical location. "I was not afraid," she later told me. "For the first time, I understood that I was not my body. I was something more, consciousness itself, experiencing reality without the filters of physical senses." This transition state is just the beginning. The consciousness, once freed from its physical vessel, enters what many traditions call the astral plane. Here, thought becomes reality, and intention creates experience. This is where Edgar once described his profound journey during a period of deep trance, when his consciousness traveled beyond the physical realm and accessed what he called the Akashic Records, a vibrational archive containing all knowledge, past, present, and future. What's fascinating is how consistently these accounts appear across cultures and throughout history. From ancient Egyptian texts describing the journey through Duat to Tibetan Buddhist traditions detailing the Bardo states, human intuition has long recognized that consciousness continues its journey. The initial phase of this transition often involves a life review, not as punishment or judgment, but as a profound opportunity for understanding. Imagine experiencing every moment of your life simultaneously, not just through your own perspective, but through the experiences of everyone you've ever affected. Each kindness, each harm, each small gesture resonates through the web of consciousness that connects all beings. A hospice nurse once shared with me the story of an elderly man in his final hours. Though his body was failing, his consciousness seemed to expand. He began describing people in the room whom no one else could see, departed family members who had come to ease his transition. This phenomenon is remarkably common among the dying, occurring even in those with no spiritual beliefs during their lifetime. "They're here to help me cross over," he said with surprising clarity. "The boundary isn't as fixed as we think. They exist in a different vibrational state, but they've never really left." This vibrational shift is crucial to understanding the afterlife experience. Consciousness, once freed from physical density, resonates at a higher frequency. This is why those who have glimpsed beyond often struggle to translate their experiences into language. Our words are designed to describe physical reality, not transcendent states of being. Some call this journey a homecoming, a return to our true vibrational nature. We are, in essence, beings of energy temporarily experiencing physical form. Death is not an ending, but a transition back to our more expansive state. When we understand this truth, fear begins to dissolve. The ancient mystery schools taught that consciousness exists in a spectrum, from the densest physical matter to the most refined spiritual awareness. Our journey through death is simply a shift along this spectrum, a return to a more subtle, yet more expanded state of being. The grief we feel at losing loved ones stems from the illusion of separation. In truth, consciousness remains connected across all planes of existence. Those who have developed spiritual sensitivity can sometimes perceive these connections, experiencing the continued presence of departed souls. What we call life and death are simply different expressions of the same eternal consciousness, like water changing from ice to liquid to vapor, yet remaining essentially the same substance throughout. The boundaries we perceive are constructs of limited perception, not fundamental realities. The phenomenon of consciousness traveling beyond physical limitations has been documented across millennia. These experiences, whether called astral projection, out-of-body experiences, or soul travel, represent some of the most profound evidence that we are more than our physical forms. During deep meditation, serious illness, or moments of extreme stress, consciousness can temporarily detach from the physical vessel. This separation reveals our multidimensional nature. We exist simultaneously on physical, mental, spiritual, and vibrational planes. Those who have experienced this state describe a sensation of floating, often accompanied by a silver cord connecting their energetic and physical bodies. A physician from Boston once shared with me his unexpected journey while undergoing surgery. As the anesthesia took effect, he found himself observing the procedure from above. "I could see my body on the operating table," he recounted. "I watched the surgeons working, heard their conversations, even noticing when one of them made a joke about my unusual heart rhythm. Later, I verified these details with the surgical team, who were astonished by my accurate observations of events I couldn't possibly have witnessed while unconscious." This physician's experience exemplifies what thousands have reported. Consciousness can maintain awareness independent of brain function. Modern research at medical institutions has validated many such accounts, documenting cases where patients accurately described events occurring while they were clinically dead, their brains showing no activity. The consciousness, when freed from physical constraints, experiences a different relationship with time and space. Many describe moving through walls, traveling vast distances instantaneously, or perceiving reality from multiple perspectives simultaneously. These journeys often include encounters with luminous beings, departed loved ones, or spiritual guides who offer wisdom and reassurance. What makes these experiences particularly compelling is their consistency across cultures, religions, and historical periods. From shamanic traditions to contemporary hospital settings, the essential pattern remains remarkably similar, suggesting these experiences reflect a genuine aspect of human consciousness rather than cultural conditioning. During these journeys, many report access to knowledge that transcends their ordinary understanding. A humble fisherman in coastal Portugal with minimal education once described to me his near-death experience following a boating accident. During the 20 minutes he was clinically dead, he encountered what he called the living library, a vibrational realm where all knowledge exists simultaneously. Upon returning to his body, he demonstrated unexpected insights into mathematics and physics that puzzled local scientists. "I didn't learn these things," he insisted. "I remembered them. This knowledge belongs to all souls. We simply forget it when confined to physical form." This concept of soul memory aligns with what Edgar experienced during his documented period of deep trance. He described accessing a vibrational archive containing all knowledge, where past, present, and future exist concurrently, rather than sequentially. From this expanded awareness, he gained insights that later proved remarkably accurate, despite having no formal education in the subjects he addressed. The vibrations we experience during physical life represent just one frequency band in an infinite spectrum. When consciousness shifts beyond bodily constraints, it can attune to different frequencies, perceiving dimensions normally invisible to physical senses. These expanded states reveal the interconnectedness of all consciousness, showing that separation is an illusion created by limited physical perception. A hospice chaplain once described to me the patterns she observed after attending thousands of transitions. "Those approaching death often begin to see beyond the veil days or weeks before their passing," she explained. "They describe visitors from the other side, luminous landscapes, or gathering places where loved ones await. What's remarkable is how these visions bring peace rather than fear, regardless of the person's religious background or beliefs during life. These journeys beyond the body serve a profound purpose. They allow the soul to remember its true nature, to recognize itself as consciousness, temporarily experiencing physical form, rather than physical matter briefly animated by consciousness. This distinction is crucial for spiritual awakening. When we understand ourselves as consciousness having a temporary physical experience, rather than physical beings having occasional spiritual moments, our perspective fundamentally shifts. Fear of death diminishes. Attachment to material concerns loosens. We begin to recognize that our current incarnation represents just one chapter in our soul's eternal journey. The ancient Egyptian mystery schools taught initiates techniques for consciously projecting consciousness beyond the body. These practices weren't meant to escape physical reality, but to expand awareness of our multidimensional nature. By experiencing existence beyond physical constraints, initiates realized that death was merely a transition rather than an ending. Similar practices exist in Tibetan Buddhism, where advanced practitioners master the art of phawa, conscious transfer of consciousness at the moment of death. This practice allows them to maintain awareness through the transition, navigating the afterlife realms with intention rather than confusion. What these diverse traditions share is recognition that consciousness transcends physical form. The body is a vehicle, not an identity. When we grasp this truth experientially, not just intellectually, we begin living from our eternal nature rather than our temporary expression. These journeys reveal that consciousness exists in a spectrum of vibration. Physical reality represents a denser, slower vibration, while spiritual realms exist at progressively higher frequencies. As consciousness evolves, it naturally resonates with these higher vibrations, expanding its perception and understanding. The wall between worlds is growing thinner. As humanity collectively evolves, more people are spontaneously experiencing glimpses beyond physical constraints. These experiences aren't supernatural, they're actually our natural state, temporarily forgotten during physical incarnation. Within the great tapestry of existence lies knowledge that transcends ordinary understanding, wisdom that exists beyond books and conventional learning. These spiritual insights have been preserved through millennia in what many traditions call the Akashic Records, the Book of Life, or what I prefer to call the Soul's Archive. This eternal library contains not ink and paper, but vibrational imprints of all experiences, thoughts, and events throughout time. It exists beyond physical reality in a frequency accessible only to consciousness that has elevated beyond material perception. Those who have glimpsed this realm describe it not as a location, but as a state of expanded awareness where all knowledge exists simultaneously. A Buddhist monk in Nepal once shared with me his experience accessing this realm during a 40-day meditation retreat. The knowledge doesn't come in words or images, he explained. It arrives as complete understanding. In those moments, I perceive the interconnectedness of all events, how each action creates ripples affecting countless beings across time and space. What makes these accounts compelling is their remarkable similarity across diverse cultures and traditions, from indigenous shamans to Christian mystics, from Hindu yogis to quantum physicists. Those who have touched this realm of pure knowledge describe an experience beyond language, yet unmistakably real. This universal wisdom helps us understand that what we perceive as separate lives are actually expressions of one continuous consciousness. Each incarnation serves as a classroom for the soul's evolution, with specific lessons and experiences chosen for our growth. The challenges we face aren't random misfortunes, but carefully selected opportunities for spiritual development. A hospice nurse who has attended thousands of transitions once told me about a remarkable pattern she observed. In their final moments, she said, people often speak of seeing their life from a completely different perspective. They suddenly understand why certain difficult experiences were necessary. The suffering that seemed cruel or pointless is revealed as purposeful, essential lessons in compassion, forgiveness, or strength. This perspective aligns perfectly with what Edgar described during his documented readings. While in trance states, he accessed information about soul purposes and life lessons that individuals had chosen before incarnation. The accuracy of these readings, verified by subsequent events, suggests he was indeed accessing a realm of knowledge beyond conventional understanding. The Soul's Archive contains not only the past, but also potential futures, probable outcomes based on current energetic patterns. This explains how genuine prophetic insights are possible. Those who access this realm aren't predicting fixed destinies, but perceiving the most likely consequences of humanity's collective vibration at a given moment. A Native American elder once explained this concept using the metaphor of a river. The great river of time has many possible channels ahead, he said. From the mountaintop of expanded consciousness, one can see these potential paths. But which channel the water ultimately flows through depends on countless decisions made moment by moment. The future exists as possibility, not certainty. This understanding of time as fluid rather than fixed offers profound implications for personal and collective transformation. If future outcomes emerge from present vibrations, then changing our consciousness literally changes the future. Our thoughts, emotions, and intentions create energetic templates that manifest as physical reality. Within this hidden knowledge lies understanding of humanity's true potential. We are not merely physical beings having occasional spiritual experiences. We are eternal consciousness temporarily experiencing physical reality. Our capabilities extend far beyond what modern society recognizes. Telepathy, precognition, distant healing. and other phenomena labeled paranormal are actually latent abilities waiting to be developed through vibrational refinement. A respected neurologist in Switzerland shared with me her research into consciousness beyond brain function. The evidence suggests the brain acts more like a receiver than a producer of consciousness, she explained. It filters and focuses universal awareness rather than creating it, similar to how a television receives broadcast signals rather than generating them. This model explains why some individuals demonstrate remarkable abilities during altered states. When the brain's filtering function temporarily diminishes, during meditation, sacred plant ceremonies, or near-death experiences, consciousness can access greater portions of universal knowledge and capability. The ancient mystery schools understood this principle, developing sophisticated techniques to temporarily alter brain function and access expanded awareness. These weren't mystical practices, but practical methods for navigating consciousness beyond physical limitations. Initiates learn to maintain awareness during sleep, consciously explore non-physical realms, and retrieve information beyond sensory perception. Perhaps most profound within this hidden knowledge is understanding our role in the greater cosmic ecology. Human consciousness serves a specific function in universal evolution. We are not separate from or superior to nature, but integral participants in a vast living system. Our purpose involves translating spiritual awareness into physical expression, bringing higher vibrational patterns into material reality. A quantum physicist who studies consciousness once described humanity as the universe's way of experiencing itself subjectively. Through our individual perspectives, the cosmos gains infinite unique viewpoints of its own existence. This explains why each soul's journey matters. Each represents an irreplaceable facet of universal consciousness. The wisdom preserved in the soul's archive reveals that consciousness exists in a spectrum of vibration. Physical reality represents a denser, slower vibration, while spiritual realms exist at progressively higher frequencies. As souls evolve, they naturally resonate with these higher vibrations, expanding their perception and understanding. What we call spiritual awakening is simply consciousness remembering its true nature and origins. The veil between worlds thins as our vibration elevates, allowing greater access to this eternal knowledge. This isn't mystical fantasy, but the natural progression of consciousness, returning to awareness of its complete self. The greatest revelation within this hidden wisdom is perhaps the simplest. Love represents the highest vibrational state accessible to consciousness, not emotional or romantic attachment, but unconditional compassion that recognizes the divine essence in all beings. This vibration, what mystical traditions call agape, karuna, or universal love, aligns consciousness with its original source, completing the cycle of spiritual evolution. The concept of reincarnation, that souls experience multiple physical lifetimes, appears throughout humanity's spiritual traditions. Far from being a religious dogma, this understanding emerges consistently in the accounts of those who access expanded states of consciousness. These individuals describe not just a single afterlife destination, but an ongoing cycle of growth, reflection, and renewed purpose. When consciousness transitions beyond physical form at death, it enters a state of review and integration. This period allows the soul to process experiences, understand lessons learned, and recognize opportunities missed. This isn't punishment, but profound self-awareness, seeing with perfect clarity how our choices affected ourselves and others. A hospice counselor in South America once shared with me her observations from over 30 years guiding transitions. Those approaching death often experience spontaneous life reviews, she explained. They describe seeing their entire existence panoramically, understanding the purpose behind experiences that seemed meaningless or cruel during life. Most remarkably, they express gratitude for their greatest challenges, recognizing these as catalysts for their most significant growth. This period of reflection precedes what many traditions call the planning phase, a collaboration between the soul and spiritual guides to design the next incarnation. The soul selects specific challenges, relationships, and circumstances that offer opportunities to develop needed qualities or balance previous actions. What appears as random fate during physical life is actually carefully chosen curriculum for the soul's evolution. A meditation teacher who experienced clinical death during cardiac surgery described this planning process. I understood that souls choose their circumstances not to suffer, but to grow. A lifetime of hardship might be selected to develop compassion. Relationship challenges might be chosen to learn forgiveness. What seems tragic from human perspective often represents precisely what the soul needs for its development. This understanding transforms how we perceive life's difficulties. The person who challenges us most might be fulfilling an agreement made before either of us incarnated, serving as catalyst for qualities we sought to develop. The hardships we face aren't cosmic punishment, but opportunities we ourselves selected for growth. Edgar once described accessing records of these pre-birth agreements during his documented trance states. He detailed how souls select their parents, significant relationships, and major life challenges before incarnation. The remarkable accuracy of these readings, verified through subsequent events, suggests he was indeed perceiving a genuine aspect of consciousness beyond physical limitations. Between incarnations, souls exist in communities of shared purpose and vibration. These soul groups, what some traditions call soul families, incarnate together repeatedly, exchanging roles and relationships to facilitate mutual growth. The stranger who changes your life through a seemingly random encounter might be a soul you've known through countless lifetimes. A quantum physicist studying consciousness once explained this phenomenon using the metaphor of holography. Just as each fragment of a hologram contains the entire image, he said, each soul contains aspects of all souls. We are individuated expressions of unified consciousness, appearing separate but fundamentally connected. This explains why deep recognition sometimes occurs between people meeting for the first time. The soul remembers what the personality has forgotten. The cycle of reincarnation isn't endless or purposeless. Each lifetime builds upon previous growth, developing progressively higher vibrational awareness. As consciousness evolves through experiences in physical reality, it gradually remembers its true nature and purpose. What we call spiritual awakening is simply consciousness recognizing itself beneath the temporary identities of personality, gender, culture, and circumstance. A Sufi mystic once shared with me the concept of the soul's journey using the metaphor of a circle. We begin as unconscious unity with the divine, she explained. Through incarnation, we experience separation and individuation, necessary for self-awareness. The journey continues through countless experiences until we return to conscious unity, now enriched by the wisdom gained through separation. The circle completes when we recognize our divine nature was present throughout the entire journey. This pattern explains why humanity's spiritual evolution accelerates exponentially rather than linearly. As individual consciousness awakens, it elevates the collective vibration, making awakening progressively easier for others. We are witnessing this acceleration now, more people spontaneously experiencing expanded awareness than at any previous point in recorded history. The greatest misconception about reincarnation involves the nature of time itself. From expanded awareness, past, present, and future lives aren't sequential but simultaneous, occurring in parallel rather than sequence. What appears as linear progression from physical perspective is actually multidimensional exploration from soul perspective. A Native American elder once explained this concept through the metaphor of a tree. Your current incarnation is like one branch, he said, but the soul is the entire tree, with many branches extending in different directions simultaneously. What you call past lives and future lives are actually parallel expressions of your greater consciousness, all existing now. This perspective resolves apparent contradictions in reincarnation theory. How can population increase if souls reincarnate? How can multiple people remember being the same historical figure? These questions dissolve when we understand that consciousness isn't limited to linear expression. The ultimate purpose of this cycle isn't endless repetition, but expansion of awareness. As consciousness experiences countless perspectives through different incarnations, it progressively awakens to its true nature, recognizing itself as both individuated expression and unified field. This represents the completion of the soul's journey, not merging into homogeneous oneness, but conscious participation in both individuation and unity simultaneously. A contemplative from Jerusalem once described this ultimate state. Imagine water recognizing itself as both individual droplet and entire ocean simultaneously. This is consciousness fully awakened, maintaining unique perspective while experiencing complete unity. This isn't the end of existence. but the beginning of conscious co-creation. As we conclude this exploration of consciousness beyond physical form, remember that these aren't abstract theories but practical wisdom for living purposefully. Understanding your eternal nature transforms how you experience challenges, relationships, and purpose. You begin recognizing the divine curriculum in everyday circumstances, seeing opportunities for growth where you once saw only obstacles. The knowledge shared by those who glimpse beyond the veil offers not escapism, but deeper engagement with physical existence. When you recognize this lifetime as one chapter in your soul's eternal journey, you approach each day with greater purpose, compassion, and wisdom, living not from fear of death, but from awareness of your immortal nature. Don't miss the opportunity to transform your perspective and awaken to your true nature. Click the subscribe button below, activate notifications, and join thousands of souls committed to conscious evolution. Remember, understanding your eternal essence isn't just about knowledge. It's about living with greater purpose, compassion, and wisdom. Subscribe today and begin the most important journey of all, the journey back to your authentic self.